I didn't realize until after he left how controlling and abnormal things were. For example, he didn't like me to use the dishwasher. I never even realized how wrong that was until I started talking to my friends. And I still struggle to use the dishwasher to this day because it just became habit for me to wash all the dishes by hand. He didn't like if I wore tight-fitted clothing or even makeup. He stopped wanting to be intimate with me. And when I asked if he was cheating on me, his response was, "I love you less because you asked me that." Not, "No, I'm not cheating on you." He started becoming unsupportive of my medical needs. I had to have shoulder surgery following an injury, and I was scared. And on the way to the hospital, instead of telling me he loved me and that it would be okay, he said I should have acted like it was a non-event so that my daughter didn't have to worry about me. Afterwards, he refused to bring me to PT, even though I was unable to drive. I had to have a friend drive me to PT every day. I also have type 1 diabetes, and he would get upset with me anytime my blood sugar went low, even though it was out of my control. He even disabled the alerts on my continuous glucose monitor because it was annoying him. But the thing that bothered me the most was he would constantly undermine me as a mother. When I would try to correct her behavior, rather than backing me, he would side with my daughter. He would be mad at me for trying to get her to stop doing whatever she was doing, rather than being upset with her for misbehaving. For a long time, it often felt like my husband and my daughter were the couple, and I was the child, because they would team up against me all the time. I felt like it got worse after I left. He said he would be fair with the divorce settlement, but he was not. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had no money or income. I could not afford a good lawyer, but he could. He cheated me on my half of the house. He took the better car. He fought me on personal property that was mine. And he even convinced his lawyer that he should be entitled to half of my car accident injury settlement, which he was not involved with. But worst of all, he used my daughter as a weapon. Because he spent years grooming her against me, it was easy for him to gain control of her and manipulate her when we separated. We had verbally agreed on 50-50 custody, but he would never sign anything in writing. In January of 23, he refused to bring her back to my house. I spent the next 8 months trying to get her back. He brainwashed her into thinking that I was a bad mom, that my apartment was unsafe, and that I abused her. He even showed her the court documents that I filed against him and shared personal financial information with her. For 8 months, she would not come to my house. Then, magically, on the very day that we went to mediation, I had to agree to not take any child support. 2 hours later, after that meeting, she magically called and said, "Mom, can I come over?" But the damage was already done. I've spent months now trying to rebuild things with her. My relationship with her is still not where I want it to be, but it's getting a little better. During this time, I was also trying to make amends with my father again, because I thought he had cancer, so he led me to believe that wasn't true. He didn't have cancer. So, needless to say, I had a lot of healing and forgiveness to do. It's something that I thought that I would never be capable of, especially as I was in the midst of going through it all. As I said before, I was in counseling for years trying to heal from my dad's abuse, and a year trying to heal from my ex-husband's abuse and my divorce. I started working the steps in Recovery Alive. Early on in the process, I realized I have no control over these people, so I started to change the way I reacted to them. When it came time for inventory, I was nervous because I felt like my list was too long. But I spent the time to write everything out, not just one person, but my dad, my mom, my ex-husband, and my daughter. I wrote out all the ways that they hurt me, and it felt good to write them down, even though I had them all memorized in my head. I finally realized the real meaning of forgiveness, and that forgiveness does not mean that you have to have a relationship with them. That, for me, was huge. I think that's why I tried to always reconcile with my dad, because I thought, if I don't want a relationship with him, then have I really forgiven him? During my process group, I had tried to reach out to my dad again. We even talked on the phone a few times for the first time in 12 years. I thought things were going okay, but then I sent him a message on Father's Day to wish him Happy Father's Day. But his response was just another berated attack on me, and not good enough. This was the moment I realized that he was not going to change, and I was at peace with what I had done. I even told him I forgive him, but he did not receive it. I finally had let go of all the hurt he caused me. After that message on Father's Day, I blocked him again. And a couple months later, I got the confirmation that I did the right thing. When I went home for my uncle's funeral, he refused to even look at me or say hello to me. A couple weeks ago, he tried to contact me again, and he berated me on the phone for more than a half an hour. But thanks to the growth that I made, this time was different. I stood up for myself. Instead of feeling bad about myself and crying afterwards like always, I actually woke up and felt good about myself the next morning. I rewrote the letter of release that I never sent to him, and I sent it off. In my letter, I quoted Ephesians 6:4. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Before I sent the letter, I prayed that God would give me a sign that I was doing the right thing because I was nervous. I opened my devotional book that day, and the reading for the day happened to be Ephesians 6:4. And I thought to myself, okay, God, I hear you now. I no longer have hard feelings for him, and even though I don't have a relationship, I still pray for him to find the peace and happiness that he's actually looking for. As far as my ex-husband, I realized I could not control his actions, and I had to change the way I react to him. I was in the process group, working on forgiving him, but I was still too emotionally attached. Halfway through the process group, thanks to one of my group members, I blocked his Facebook page so I could no longer stalk his Facebook page. When he was confrontational on the phone or in person, I learned to change my responses to him. I would still get upset, but it wouldn't last as long. I also realized that I wasn't crazy. I saw how he would twist the words and different things to make me feel like I was the crazy one, but working the process group made me realize that he was manipulating me, and I learned to handle it a lot better. Halfway through the process group, I had to learn how to quickly let go. He informed me about 4 months after my divorce that he was getting remarried already. This devastated me at first, but for me, this was my wake-up call that I had to move on, and there's nothing I can do about him. After this, I stopped caring about what he did. He still tries to aggravate me, but now I'm able to just laugh it off because I know that it is him and not me anymore. But most importantly, through Recovery Alive and my home church, I've learned to trust God again. And today I feel closer to God than I ever did. Growing up Catholic, I went to church every week and I did the same thing week after week, and I didn't really feel anything. But now, when I receive communion or I pray the Lord's Prayer, it means something. I even pray differently, and I actually read the Bible. Before I started my process group, I wrote a poem that I want to share. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. The people who are supposed to love unconditional hurt me the most. My dad, my mom, my sister, my husband, my daughter. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. When I was a kid, I was abused, mentally, emotionally, sexually. In school, I was bullied, name-called, beat up, slapped, and taunted. No one heard my voice. No one listened to my cries. I kept pushing, I kept fighting just to survive. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. When I became an adult, I thought I found a man that loved me. Maybe there was a time he did, but I don't know when it changed. I gave birth to a daughter. She was abused by my abuser. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. I tried to be a fighter and a voice for my daughter. Because no one listened to my voice, I wanted her to know that I hear her voice. But my husband stopped loving me. He became a manipulator, an underminer, and a blamer. He taught my daughter to do the same, and now she does it to me. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. Since I left my husband, the abuse from him and my daughter have worsened. He is controlling her now, and there's nothing I can do about it. They spread so much disrespect and lies my way. It hurts so much. Panic attacks because of it are becoming far too common. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. I have no family. I have friends who love me like family, but I still wish I had a family. A dad, a mom, a sister, a husband, a daughter who love me unconditionally. Friends say keep fighting. Friends say have faith in God. I keep fighting. I keep praying. But I am tired. I don't want to keep fighting. I don't want to keep surviving. I want to be thriving. When does it end? I don't want to be abused anymore. When does it end? I just want to be loved. I have been abused. I am a survivor, but I want to be a thriver. Thanks to God and for the healing that I did in Recovery Alive, I am no longer just surviving, I am thriving. And after 46 years, I have finally learned to love myself. Psalm 42-5 says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will praise him, my Savior and my God." I have finally learned to not let my circumstances get me down. I now fully trust in God, and I am much happier. I encourage you, keep fighting, keep surviving, and eventually you'll be thriving too. Let the beauty of grace be reflected in your face, and let no one doubt to whom you belong. And as my t-shirt says, God takes your broken pieces and turns them into masterpieces. So give him your pieces. Thank you for letting me share.
You didn't won or didn't? Now, what's that?
I said I got all that practice.
Yeah. her first time giving her testimony. First time. You want to change the business? Do cakes now?
No.
No.
So another thing kind of happened this week that it wasn't in my speech, but 6 years ago, I started my own personal business. I had always dreamed of owning my own bakery. And when I turned 40, I kind of had the urge to kind of go out on my own. And I've run my bakery for the last 6 years. However, in December, I had to have surgery on my shoulder again.
Okay.
And so also with my divorce, I've had to come up with more money.
Gotcha.
And so I have been searching very hard for the last 3 months to find a job. And as I was preparing for my speech tonight, I kept saying I really need a job in order to feel like I can say that I'm really thriving. So for the last 3 months, I've sent over 150 applications out. I've gone on interview after interview after interview just to get rejected or ghosted. And on Monday, I got an email with a job offer, and I thought that was great. I was all set to start on Wednesday, but Tuesday morning came along at 11 a.m., and I got a text message from another recruiter that I had interviewed with, and she said, "Stacy really wants you, and we want to offer you a job." And I said, "I just accepted a job offer."
Oh.
And her response to me was, "What salary do you need in order to come work for us instead?" And so I was able to negotiate $3 an hour more. So now I can be financially independent as well.
Wow.
And that all happened on the very same day as I started my cake business 6 years ago.
Wow. That's great. Isn't it? I didn't even know that part, guys. That's all brand new to me too. Thank you for sharing, Kara.
You can find it where it's
Thank you.